end of that, Damien offers to give him his expensive school supplies, and everyone gives him something. And Anya, she's like, Anya will give you this leaf she found on the side of the road.
Anya gave no fucks.
She did,
I love.
and
I love. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Herbal Synergies, the shop. I'm your host, Sinji. With me, as always, my co-host, Irby.
what up?
What's up, Irby? Guess what episode this is, bud?
88,
No, 90.
90, yeah, 89, yeah,
89, 89, 89. You know what that means?
no.
Next episode. It's you, me, Infamous, and our anime continued. Where Irby tries to kill me for being disobedient.
Nah, it wasn't disobedience. It was because you wanted to do unsanctimonious killing for no reason.
Nah, dog. If people
It's
deserve
like,
to
oh
die, they
boy,
deserve to die.
oh boy, here I go killing again.
Yeah, that's what you're gonna say when you kill me.
No, I don't kill. I just be chilling.
But we're not there yet. We're on episode 89, baby. And kicking it off with a flavor of the week. RB, do you have one?
I have multiple, but I like to just say what I like when we go over it. But yeah, the one that the one that killed me this week,
Spy?
um, Spy. Yeah,
Yeah, Spy had
when
a number of good moments.
that one killed me when the homie George was leaving school and everyone's giving a gift, and
Anya
Anya's
gave him
like,
a leaf.
"Yeah, it's just Anya will give you this leaf I found on the side of the road." I was like, "Damn, Anya, that floored me a little bit." I like that. It was a funny moment.
The whole episode, the whole time he was having his moment, I was like, he's definitely gonna be in school tomorrow.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, I was like, "Oh, well, he got bought out, but doesn't mean he won't have no money to go there." So I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
But that goes to show you like what you're dealing with kids, because kids their brains aren't that complex yet to think something like that. But yeah, I'm getting into that more later.
Mm. Oh shit! I wrote one of the things I wrote in my notes is in the wrong area.
Mm,
I wrote something for Spy under the Sacred Blacksmith. But anyways, my flavor of the week is coming out of Chojin for once. And
mhm.
it's at the very end of the latest chapter. Ellie sucking up Smokey. I was like, damn, bro, she really just sucked him up.
Yeah, she did. I was like, oh, I mean, it makes sense because it's one and the same. Um, I forgot. Was it like a? It reminds me of like a Yu Yu Hakusho moment when you probably never watched this, but for our valued listener out there, you probably know I'll be going talking about when Genkai had to give part of her power to Yu Yu in order for him actually to achieve a higher level, but he didn't like realize it at the time. But yeah, so I guess I think her bringing him into her element that she'll get stronger and then she'll have some different abilities too
Mm-hmm.
going forward.
Maybe she'll be able to withstand the high heat.
Probably, or she might be able to create heat in general now.
Hmm.
I don't know. Who
Maybe,
knows?
maybe she'll forever be traumatized by like the dude's voice within her.
Yeah, but I definitely think she's gonna be able to use her powers and his powers a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
So
They didn't have to show
uh,
her nipples though.
they didn't.
They did.
I didn't see them things.
Nah, they were there.
Nah, I was just too busy reading the words. I was like, oh, let me just go on about my business.
Yeah, Tokyo met when he said her boobs are showing.
Mm-mm-mm.
Granted, he also remember he said there wasn't much there to remember.
Yeah, he did. That he did. My boy. Tokyo. Yeah. Segue into Trojan now. Review it for the peoples.
Um, Tokyo, we left off and he turned into a bird. No, he grew the wings, and they kept saying we have to fly higher, have to fly higher. Vultures fly the highest out of any bird, which I didn't really know that. I don't know if it's true. I didn't fact check it, but I was like, it's an interesting tidbit if it's true. Vultures
Yeah,
fly higher than any bird.
I think we did look it up a while ago, and I think it was one of them. One of the highest flying birds.
Gotcha, gotcha. And then he finally caught up to Smokey and headbutted him. So in the process rescuing Ellie, that's when they had the whole boob thing. Ellie, I can see your boob, and like you saw her little nipple and her.
You really are harking on our little nipples, huh?
Well, no, nipple, no S. You can only
Yeah,
see one boob.
that's what I said. Little nip.
Mm-hmm. And she covers up after she punches Tokyo on the head, and Ellie has a new dream. And it was everything it was before to get rich, blah blah blah, find a hubby, but it's also to share food with her hubby and Tokyo. So she can't let Tokyo die, and she can't die.
Hmm.
Her and Smokey go at it one more round, and Ellie refuses to die and sucks him up.
Yeah. And you don't stop. Cause it's 1-8. Yep. A good episode. I did enjoy it. I'm like, oh, finally got some new powers. Something
Yeah.
different in this thing.
Yeah. All right. Following the current pattern, you want to talk about Jujutsu?
Yeah, not much there. Um, so homie, they pull a I forget which one, which another anime did this where they're like, go, go. And they just like gave him some strength psychologically to get better. And so he gets a boost from his brothers. And then my man uses a Gum Gum Bloodhawk to grab Ghetto. And I was like, oh, that's a nice new move. And he proceeds to get beat up with some other stuff. And then Homegirl shows up to help. She's like, you did good, kid.
It's like I'm the only
So,
child, but you did good, brother. Big bro,
yeah.
or whatever.
So I was like, It's like, dang. It's like, well then. Not a bad one. The little Gum Gum Bloodhawk was an interesting touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured you'd get a little laugh out of that one.
I was. Oh, that's new. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Gum Gum Bloodhawk.
Although it's not Gum Gum anymore.
Yeah. I ain't watched it in a while, so I don't know.
It's Nika Nika.
Just because he had a different fruit, huh?
He had a different fruit all along.
Mm. So is he screaming that out when he does his little punch now, or no?
Nah, I think they've been stopped doing the Well, not really. I don't know. I don't think Luffy actually knows the true name of his fruit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, shit. I don't know if I want to talk about the blacksmith or Peach Boy. You pick one. I'll talk about whichever one you pick.
Let's just continue with the smuttiness and go with blacksmith.
Hey, man. Blacksmith and the sacred blacksmith and Chojin had the same kind of smut. One panel,
Mhm.
one scene, straight titties.
And that's all on your brain.
No censorship, just straight tit and nips. Which the blacksmith one, I don't really get why they threw that scene in there because it's not like it actually happened. It was just smut for smut.
Yeah.
But the sacred blacksmith, episode 1, night. We start off the episode with an ice devil showing up and challenging our distinguished knight Cicely Campbell from the Campbell family. And she's trying to fight this ice devil, but she stood no chance up against it, as we saw in the first few scenes. And then she gets saved by someone she calls Luke, who apparently saves her for the third time. Which later on we learn is the third time within 24 hours.
Yeah,
I feel like a day hasn't passed at all since she met Luke.
that's what I feel like.
Yeah, so she literally got saved 3 times by this one man. But anyways, after that scene, we're with Cecily, and she comes across this dude trying to kind of force his way to get a good deal on some sand metal shit. It seems like a crafting item because Luke used it later on to like make his katana. But Cicely shows up to put an end to the man's hassling. It was like, you know, you're not
It's
supposed to do that
haggling.
here. Nah, he wasn't
Yeah,
haggling, bro.
yeah, aggressive haggling.
You sure? Well, we can call it that. And then chased him away. Said you'll regret it. Blah blah blah. And had a moment where the whole town was making her blush, and then this old dude made this creepy comment, stared at her chest. It's separated kind of weird due to her chest plate armor. And
Yeah,
dude's wife socked him in the head. I'm like, stop. Where are your eyes leering?
yeah. I thought it was weird too because he's like, yeah, I remember when you were so small and now you just grown so big, and I'm like, bro, that's stop. That's terrible.
I guess the past meant nothing to him.
It sure didn't. That was like a your little kid running around.
Yeah, she could have been like a grandchild.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, guy.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was
But
a little weird. Yeah.
during that, there's a commotion at another stand. This old dude is going berserk, and I'm just gonna call him berserker because he seemed like he was just going crazy. And Cicely wants to stop him, but she's not really being very aggressive. So like she keeps giving him chances to stop until she has to finally try to fight him, but like he knocks her down pretty easily. She gets back up and tries to like withstand as much as she could, but couldn't withstand it, and he ends up breaking her sword. Right as she's about to cut him down, boom! Luke shows up and slices through his sword like butter.
Butter.
Yeah, it was a cool little animation, but then he runs off and he's accompanied by this little elf, and they're talking about her, and it's like, oh, she was cute. It's like, I don't remember her.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you do. And Cicely wants to repair her sword, but the forge she went to, the blacksmithing shop she went to, said all we really do is pour melted metal into these molds. There's no really person who uses a hammer anymore. I was like, that's it's odd. How do you refine the sword? Like, no matter what mold you put it into, you still gotta hit it or some shit, right?
Now, if it's the mold's just gonna be just for the sword, you might need to sharpen it
Yeah, you might need.
on a whetstone, but like you don't have to. You're not gonna fold it over. So I mean, they're made for quick, easy to get to. Which I did have a thought later on about the sword making process, but we'll talk about that later because it's gonna come up.
Yeah, I mean, those swords they make can't be durable at all. I was just
Definitely.
thinking. But anyways, she strikes no luck there, and then she asked if anyone knows Luke. So they, being the rude people they were, they just straight up gave his address away.
Was that rude though?
I feel like it was.
Mm.
How you just gonna give a man's information out?
Happens all the time.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's not like not like she had ill intent because she was like looking to get her sword rebuilt, and he's the only one that probably could build that sword to specifications. So
Yeah, no, I know she didn't have ill intent, but what if she did? You know what I mean?
yeah, I highly doubt that since she was like a
Yeah, but
knight. They're some of the noblest ones.
she gets to she gets to his house and like she's trying to force him to exchange pleasantries with him and explaining why she wants that specific sword fixed. And then she was like, I also want you to have me. She said something along those lines, and immediately showed her naked for like I wouldn't even say a full second. It was like a split second, but you definitely saw her nipples and everything. Well, not everything, but you saw her nipples.
Man, still on these nips, dog.
This is just a transition of the scenes.
No, but it was she's more. It was something like she said. I think it was along the lines of like she was talking about a breast because she was like, oh, you can look into my heart and a breast or something and see that
Oh
I'm
yeah, she said, "I want you
whatever.
to see me."
Yeah,
Yeah,
like look at my breasts and tell me I'm worthy or something. She along those lines, and they were like, huh?
I don't know if she meant my breasts. Well, I
She didn't. It's a breast. She didn't say breast. Like she was saying like breast as in like look into her heart chest. That's what she was talking about. Like see
gotcha.
her for her inside.
And the elf was like, "Ooh, you're so forward."
Yeah,
But that was the smutty moment, and then the rest of the show was pretty tame. Then
yeah,
they hear like an alarm going off, and we see three wolf-looking inhumans. They call them, killing regular knights that I guess weren't good enough to even last a scene. Once one died, they were all dead. And
yeah,
when they show up, Cecilia's like, I'm gonna prove to you or convince you to handle my sword. Just watch me. And she gets knocked down pretty easily, and Luke saves her a second time. And he kills all the Inhumans pretty easily. The two masterminds behind this were like, well, shit. But the one guy's like, oh, there's something up my sleeve. And deep down, you know what it is. Well, that was him becoming, I guess, the Ice Devil we saw earlier. And Luke called it a devil contract. They made a devil's contract.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The Ice Devil broke Luke's sword, and Cecilia decided she wasn't running away. She's gonna defend because that's what she's been tasked to do. It's on the honor of her family. She will defend the people of the town. Luke asked Cecilia to buy him some time while he forges a new katana, but really, she didn't need to because everyone just watched him do it. There was no fighting involved while he was making the sword. And Elf Girl used her eyes to create a forge, and Luke stuck his hands in the forge and listed, I guess, everything that would entail to him and his forging process on making a blade. And he pulled out a katana. End of
Yeah,
episode.
yeah. So um, I was thinking that in order to form perfect weapons like that, that might be why they just go to the port stealing the mold method because it might be too intensive to make the sword like that. That's what I was thinking.
You mean like, well,
Like there might be few people now that can make swords like that. Like it's a lost art.
that's possible. Yeah, I can see that. It's
Yeah.
definitely not like, it definitely doesn't seem like something everyone can do.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that might be the reason why they stopped that in that area, or it might not be something everyone can learn type deal. And then I think it also might come down to like having two compatible people in order to make one. Because did you notice how I think her left eye was open and like his right eye was open, so it was like mirror opposites.
Yeah, I mean,
I was
I think I noticed something else with her other eye, but I'm not sure if that's gonna be a thing later on.
yeah. So I'm like, huh. So it might not. There might just be specific people, tandem twos to do it. So
Yeah, but now this show has my expectations being at least one smut per episode.
yeah, it
Yeah,
could happen. It couldn't happen. It could just be mature adult themes.
it could be, but like, how to not summon a demon king or a demon lord, whatever, had its mandatory smut moments in episodes.
Yeah, it did.
But yeah, I imagine you want to talk about Mob next, and that was so we're
Yeah,
definitely gonna end on with Spy. I feel like,
yeah,
and
we getting in with Spy.
yeah, in all honesty, I didn't really care for this episode of Mob.
What? This one mob showed a whole bunch of growth.
Define growth.
Like he's growing into a person that I think before he was gung ho and trying to make people like notice him in a way or like try to get his crush to get him. But now he's like, I got these powers and like I am special, and I as long as I'm doing something with my powers and helping people, that also makes me happy too. So it's like no longer like I have to do stuff for people to to impress people. He's like, now I'm just gonna do me and go on about my life and use my powers in a way that gives me enjoyment.
Yeah, but couldn't we have gotten that with a more interesting episode?
It's all backstory. You- it gives Mob a new light. It
I
was
don't know. Yeah,
it's this episode.
but like, just
This comes from the man that where it takes 50 episodes of One Piece in order to get one point across.
what do you mean?
You could sit through one episode.
No,
No.
it's just there's no. What was it? It was like the first. It was like the same thing with the first episode of the Divine Tree. Like there was not much there. It was just like okay. It's like we're starting off fillering, ending. It's. I'm sure if we get to transmission 3 or 4, those episodes will be bangers. Mob's meter will probably somehow move up because they're probably gonna telepathize an actual threat that Mob's gonna have to face because his friends will be in danger. Blah 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 blah. But like, I don't know, man. It's just okay. UFOs, I guess.
Yeah. So I did have a thought about that too.
That
It's
One
not gonna
Piece
be.
comment was uncalled for.
I mean, it's true though, because like it'd be like three
Reg-
episodes before you try to get
regardless,
what they're trying to say.
regardless of thoughts and opinions, One Piece has the biggest original never-ending world with less than 10% filler, and it doesn't take like a whole season for them to power up. You know what I mean? Know what I mean?
I'd
You
rather them
get
take
your
the whole season. Dragon Ball Z does it
grant.
right, baby.
Granted, there are some things I don't care for in One Piece, like how if one person is fighting, you're watching everyone fucking have their own gimmick fight, and like I honestly I don't really care for Usopp that much. I don't need to see Usopp run away scared and overcome his fight. I can do without
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
but still,
but go ahead, lead the way, Mob.
yeah. So, was it Caracas? She's like freaking out about the future of the telepathy club, and so like she just ended up disbanding it. I'm like, dang. So then the kids they come ask Mob for help, and they end up going to go see the twins that was in that little prison with Ritsu before.
I remembered them, but I don't remember where remember them from. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
they were in there in that prison. We're like, oh, we're gonna get the special kids and make them train for us and whatever. So that's what they were in there for. And so um, they're going to try to send signals into space using noise, and we get the whole what their powers do, how they can only do telepathy with like 3 miles, 3 kilometers, which is like I want to say 2.5 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So I also felt like this is the part where I was like, oh, I think they're going to send a message in space, and Dimple's going to be there
I
and
mean, they
respond to
could.
them.
You know what? I didn't even think about that. I forgot to rewatch that last episode and see Dimple go to space. I also felt like Dimple was the one narrating.
Yeah. So I also feel like what's the word? Like it. Do ghosts even breathe in space? Do they have to breathe? I mean, they're dead, so I guess they
I
don't
don't
need
think ghosts need
oxygen.
oxygen. I don't fucking know, dude.
Yeah, so I'm like, he could be dead. Is he dead? I
I,
have no idea.
I don't know what their fucking lifeline is.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I did enjoy what's Mob's brother's name? Rio?
Ritsu.
Ritsu. I did enjoy his like I guess I call it Anya moment when the twins were talking about the furthest they can communicate. It's like I can tell him pick some up from the grocery. I'm like, couldn't you just call him?
Yeah.
It's
So
like,
I
yeah,
was
you
like,
fucking could just call him.
sure could. So um wouldn't it be easier? But yeah, uh they're gonna I think they're gonna make contact with somebody. And they're like, man, Mob sure is dependable because he was like, yeah, oh, I'll help you. Like no hesitation. I was like, oh, look at Mob. And they go and they start making some noise, and some guy shows up, and he's like, "Oh, you guys are crazy." And Takanaka says that they're making too much noise, and he's like, "Can y'all just stop?
Mm-hmm.
You're killing me." And I was like, "Oh, the reason why he didn't want to make any noise was because he's a telepath, I think.
I
Yeah.
thought it was kind of weird that he showed up out of blue.
Well, it's because he had the noise, and he was like, "I got to see what says to stop it."
Yeah, yeah,
So
like I'm meaning like you left to join the tennis team, and as far as I know, these guys are always here. So you're telling me you conveniently wanted to slack off and come into the telepathy club or blah blah blah.
yeah,
That's
well,
the
it's because
part I saw weird. I was like, I feel like he's a telepath.
yeah, that's they would send out the signal and it was like making his brain hurt. So he's like, I gotta shut it off. And so um basically that's what it was. And so he eventually tells him stop. It's like, I'm one of the ones you're looking for. He's like, I didn't want to use my powers. I left the club because I couldn't find anyone like me pretty much. And
You
then he
know,
found out
I'm sorry. You know what I did find interesting about this telepath ability that twins have?
what?
That it doesn't get stronger in the sense that the message goes out further. They just get louder. That's what it seemed
Yeah.
like. That they were just getting louder, and that's why it was getting further because the signal was just getting louder and louder and louder due to mob increasing it.
Well, essentially that's what sound is. Like epicenter, like that's why you can cause avalanches by shouting a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because you'll project and the bounce back can be louder the second time it bounces back. So yeah, but
But
yeah,
you figure in like most animes that involve telepathy, no matter the distance, they're talking in the same tone, the same level, like almost like the levels you use inside your head when you're thinking to yourself.
maybe they are, or maybe we just think they are because no, this has never been broached before.
Perhaps. But
Yeah,
yeah, Tanikawa or whatever the hell his name is gives his life story.
Takanaka. Yeah, we get his life story, and he was like, "Oh, now you want help?" And it's like, "Y'all never cared anyway." I did find it cool that he could like project his thoughts on the people and have them thinking about things. I was like, "Oh," he's like, "Do that."
Mm-hmm. Which seeing that was fucking like made later on seem stupid to me.
What do you mean?
So like when they finally convinced the president to go to hunt UFOs with them, which we'll get to, why didn't he just use his telepathy on her right then and there to actually convince her that they're not tricking her?
That's what I thought too. I was like, why didn't he just project it on there?
Yeah, it was just like, what the
But
fuck are you doing? You can easily convince her.
yeah,
And doesn't she know about Mob?
he knows about Mob's powers.
Yeah, like wouldn't because Mob left the telepathy club, so wouldn't Mob being there kind of like hint hint hint?
I don't know, but still. So I did like Mob's monologue, and he's talking about what he wanted to use his power for and what made him feel better and this, that, and the other. And this is also one of my little flavors when he was like, he's like, as long as I have my powers, and I help someone, maybe it'll be like enjoyment in it. And the guy's like, don't tell me how to feel. Mom's like, Psh, I didn't tell you how to feel. That's how I feel. And then he was like, I was like, yeah,
I like that. I did like that moment. I was like, that's funny.
yeah. So, so yeah. So then the guy's like, oh, I'll help out if you stop with the noise. And then Reagan hustles some poor sap, and Reagan also he's an only, so he's calling up. He got shot down by his protege, and then he's like, "Mom, what are you doing for the New Year's?" And Mob tells him what he's doing. He's like, "Oh," he's like, "Well, I'll rent you guys a car." Da 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 da. And so Reagan, time comes around, and Reagan over sleeps, and everyone's running late or whatever. And old girl shows up after not returning any phone calls, and they're like, "Oh, this, that, and the other." And homeboy Takanaka shows up, and then they spear her away to Reagan's car, and Reagan's out of breath. They're like, "Oh, we're sorry we're so late." He's like, "Oh, it's okay." Meanwhile, Reagan's only got there like 2 minutes before they did,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going UFO hunting. And so I was thinking, like, is this the part in the story where Reagan gets found out to be a fraud because they're with someone with telepathy?
I well, it could be, but like Tanaka doesn't seem like he's even attempting to use his powers. He's probably has those earplugs in or some shit.
Yeah, Takanaka. I don't know. It'd be uh, a little different change of events if that was the case. So I'm like, huh. Hopefully he gets found out, but hopefully Mob's like, that's okay, Reagan. You were trying to help people out, and even though what you did was wrong,
I feel like Mob already knows.
Mob probably does. I feel like he might just pretend at this point just not to hurt his feelings.
Yeah, I think Mob and that other guy already know.
Maybe. But you know what to say about assuming something.
Make
See,
I like
yeah,
said that while I was muting myself because I wanted a drink. So I think you guys caught half of that and then caught me trying to drink. What I said was make an ass out of you and me. Assume ass you me. That's the
yeah,
saying.
yeah. So go on to talk about that Beach Boy Riverside.
All right. I don't like the way Peach Boy Riverside ended. I'm gonna say that right now, and I'll tell you why. We're gonna skip to the end real quick because they really bothered me that this was the crossroads they mentioned. Episode 3, Sally and a Crossroads. Makoto and Sally have some sort of past. Makoto and Sally, you can assume, are friends.
Nah, can't assume anything.
Yeah, but Makoto means something to Sally, is what I'm trying to get at here.
Yes. something.
I don't know how much Sally means to Makoto, but Makoto means something to Sally. Why the fuck is it a conundrum, such a hard decision to choose your friend or this person that you've known and been looking for and means something to you over a fucking ogre you just met and know nothing about? That
I
bothered me.
mean, I don't know. Sometimes you don't always pick the homie, but you'll pick some random girl you just met.
Nah, man, always pick the homie.
Oh, I'm saying always pick the homie, but I'm just saying some people are like, oh, they got something y'all don't got.
Yeah, that bugged me. But yeah, going to the beginning episode, Sally and a Crossroads, episode 3. We're in a Coliseum. Hawthorne entered a tournament to win some cash, but they didn't feel like watching him, so they left, and I think that hurt him a little bit.
Heard them a whole lot.
But turns out Fraw was the voice of reason here. Fraw was like, nah, he's not doing it for money. He wants he wants to be stronger. Maybe a certain town getting destroyed is weighing heavy on my man's heart, and he doesn't want to lose the people he's traveling with, so he wants to be stronger. I don't know.
She's very chivalrous.
I'm just saying, Hawthorne, you probably can't take down the ogre, so Sally's your best bet.
Yeah.
But yeah, we go through that, and Sally found Makoto, and that happened faster than I thought it would. I thought Makoto was gonna be like our Sasuke, and we were just gonna be chasing him for an entire season.
Nah, you can't always do that.
Nah, nope. So Sally and Makoto start catching up, and all he can afford to give my girl is some water. And he's traveling with Sister Amelia, who I thought was Sally in the past. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know if you thought the same thing, but
I did not.
yeah, for some reason I was like, "Is that Sally?" I saw blonde hair and covered up. I was like, "Is that Sally in the past? Are we getting some backstory?" No, we were not. He is traveling with an ogre. Well, probably former ogre. And she is also in the tournament, but she is purely in there for money because she eats a lot.
Sure does.
Um, and then we go over to what's his name, Sumeragi, who seems to be the mastermind of all the ogres, and that will come into. I'll clear that up a little bit as we go along. Sumeragi, who is greeted by some mid ogre, that's all they call him, and the mid ogre basically says that he couldn't. He failed to kill Makoto, and Sumeragi basically says, "I know, I was watching the whole time." And I was like, "You were?" "Yeah, you got frightened by just his stare and couldn't even approach him and ran away." I was like, "Damn."
Yeah. I was like, ooh.
So honestly, honestly, I thought they were gonna kill him for running away.
I did too.
I thought as soon as homegirl, whose name is Jusilino, God of Mass, said pick me up, I'm like, oh, she gonna like behead him or something. But as soon as she shows up, Sumenki also shows up, who is just a head with a mask, and they hold I think the 642nd 100 Ochre Assembly, something like that.
Yes.
And after summoning all the ogres, Sumeragi is basically warning everyone that the Peach Boy is among us, and he has the strength of. She's stronger than an army, and some old dude verified it. And the Thunder Ogre Todoroki comes out. It's like, so shouldn't we be attacking him together? And Sumeragi basically says, nah, that won't work. He's also killed. He's also essentially killed Meki. He removed her eye, removed her horn, and now she has to live without her dignity and her powers. So he sends Todoroki into like a little rage. He's got like this little fragile kid body. He goes to seek Makoto as he uses Samenki as an example for the rest of them, saying like, "Hey, Juscelino gave this guy a mask, and in one in one strike, he got his head chopped off." Which we then later realize that Sumeragi basically set up, and I think he set up this whole situation. I think he's playing chess
He
while everyone
did.
else is playing checkers,
Yeah.
because he's the one who sent Sumenki to destroy that village. And then I don't know how Sumenki and Makoto crossed paths, but that's how he ended up headless. And at the end of it, Juscelino took her mask back. Um, so some Sumeragi told Juscelino he wants to find a way to coexist with the humans, and then she says she's going to support that. But the mid ogre, in his mind, thought to himself, "I don't think Sumeragi is out to benefit anyone but himself."
Yeah, but he didn't say it.
Yeah. So we go over to the village where Juscelino runs into Hawthorne, and at that moment, I'm like, "Oh, Hawthorne's gonna die." But no, she was nice to him, and he runs into Sumeragi, and like they have a moment, and Sumeragi definitely already knew who Hawthorne was, as he knows who everyone else is. So as they're fighting the tournament, we see Sally outside complaining at the noise. Sumeragi does the same thing. Makoto shows up, and Makoto reveals that Sumeragi is an ogre, a high-ranking ogre, and they both offer Sally their hand, giving her a choice to make: either kill all ogres with Makoto, or try to unite ogres and humans with Sumeragi, which led me to my earlier rant. It's like, why would you even pick the ogre that you just met over the guy you've been looking for and chasing and care about?
Yeah. I'm like, what? Huh? It makes no sense. But the so a couple thoughts I had too was that Sumeragi looks like he could have been somewhat related to Sally, but it can't be sure because he gave that whole backstory about how he once had a human friend that was loved by an ogre or or an ogre that loved a human and was loved in return by the human. So I'm like, huh,
You
that's
thinking that
that's
might have been him?
I'm thinking it could be him. It could have been his brother. It could have been someone he knew that was ogre. But there's something to him.
That's possible.
So I was like, oh, because he
Now,
definitely looks similar to Sally.
what if? And this is just a reach here. What if Peach Boy is created from a human and ogre offspring?
So that here was the other thing I had too. Oh, did you notice that when Makoto does his like full demon form, he has two peaches in his eyes,
Yeah,
but when
both
Sally
of
does it,
she only
she
has
only
her. I think it's her right eye.
yeah her right eye. Yeah, so I'd mentioned that I had written that down to mention last week, but I think I forgot, or I might have mentioned it. I can't remember,
Yeah,
but
it's
I
hard
was
to keep
like,
track of all
so.
these notes sometimes.
But yeah, I think it's she's like a. I want to say she's like a hybrid. She's human with ogre strength. Could be it. If
It
that
could
makes
be. I
sense.
mean, it's definitely something involving the peach eye thing.
Yeah. So I think Mokoto might be maybe let's say he's like three-fourths ogre or something. That's why he has the two eyes, two peach eyes, and she's only half. I don't know. Who knows? We'll get more into it.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
All right. With all that being said, I am still enjoying the show, and I still need. They say you need 3 episodes to determine whether you're into an anime. So I'm cool with this one. The blacksmith, sacred blacksmith, the jury's still out on that one. But let's continue on to Spy X Family.
That's like Blacksmith. I think I would watch that one.
Yeah, yeah. Let's just see where it goes from there. Because right now, our main character is very incompetent.
She is, but it's like one of those lovable qualities where you're like, oh, she gets an A for trying.
She didn't. She gets death for trying.
Psych. Yeah, she gets a D for death.
Yeah, or an
Yeah,
F for
so
failed to live, or a C
failed
for
to live.
couldn't cut it.
Yeah, can't give her a B though.
Nah, sends the wrong message.
Or a B for bye bye. See you in hell. So, Spy Family, Season 1, Episode 19. A revenge plot against Desmond, and Mama becomes the wind. So, my man, it starts off with Glunam Pharmaceuticals will cease to exist in a month. And he's like, I don't know how I'm going to tell my son. And the son just over here and listening. I'm like, oh, I'm thinking they're either getting at this point. I was like, oh, they're merging. So I was like, he might not have his position anymore. But I was like, the man can still get a job elsewhere, you know. So I was like, huh. Then we flash forward to the school, and my man Desmond does Desmond style rolling sweep. And I was like, oh, look at my man.
Now I have
Yeah.
a question.
Let's see.
During this episode, which I think you read the manga, so let me know if it says in the manga or the anime. Was there ever a time difference between that little meeting at the George's house and between that and them being in school?
I feel like it was like the next day.
Right?
Yeah.
So with everything that happened this episode, man still had at least 29 days in
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
At
That's
no
wild.
point ever, even if what he thought was true, was he not going to school the next day.
Yeah. So, yeah, I want to say it was like overnight or they made public within like a few days.
That's what I thought. I was so confused. I was just like, wait, hold
But,
on.
but now I think about it, it might have been a little bit revisionist because he hired the the what you call him, the this other spy
Mm-hmm.
to change that kid's grades,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that
Oh,
was like
wait,
two.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He wanted. Okay, okay, all right. So I think it was a past thing. They don't explain it, but I think it was in the past because he tried to sabotage Desmond, knowing this was happening. So he overheard his father talking before he hired the spy.
Yeah, so I want to say it was like somewhere between like 2 weeks or something, or it could have been the full 29 days, or maybe like no, consider within a month. So I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
assume that 29 days have passed, assuming that a month was 30 days in that particular in this
Month,
episode.
yeah.
Yeah, in this show. I'm gonna assume 29 days have passed since he overheard that conversation. For the sake of the episode.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Um, but yeah, I wasn't too sure, but it makes sense. Okay. So yeah, his father's business. He hates Desmond. George is sweeping with some ill intent, and he hates Desmond's father for buying out the business. And so this is when we found out he hired a spy. And my homie, he he planted. He's going to plant a cigarette on Desmond. He put a cigarette on the ground and punched himself. And he's like, "Oh, said I tried to report it that Desmond was smoking, but he punched me and stopped me." And kid's like, "Oh yeah, it's craziness." I thought it was funny. The kid punched himself and spun around. And I was like, "Oh man, look at him." And so then the kids, his little lackey tried to stick up for him, but they're like, "Oh, you're friends, so it doesn't matter." And then Anya comes in and she's like,
Now,
he
hold
didn't
on.
do it.
Hold on, because I thought that moment with the teacher was very questionable. Even his decision to ignore it after was very questionable. Because this man not only jumped to conclusions just because the other two supporting Damien were his friends. Like, you're his friends. I can't trust you, so you're automatically going to trust the other kid just because you know the other two support their friend. No
Well,
actual
she was,
investigation or
well, I
questioning.
would say, because sometimes that's why friends make the worst alibis
Yes,
with the police.
my friend did try to use me as an alibi one time for a fight he got in, and I was horrible. Could not. I failed at. I think he actually got suspended for a couple of days.
Well, the thing in general is like, because you need a non-biased party, or if you do have, at least if you have three people, two of which are like your friends, and someone random's like, oh, this is what happened to. There's a lot of that, then it's more believable.
Yes, and then his decision to let it go was even worse than his decision not to believe Damien's friends.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
carry on.
yeah, Anya, she's that superpowered woman. So
And he's like, she's got the face of
yeah,
something.
yeah. So um, the Overwatcher, she's like, oh, she's like, she got eyes that see through all, and he's like, oh, I remember you from getting that tumultuous bolt the first day. And she's like, this girl's bad news, and it's like, this is telling me all of my 30 years of teaching is telling me this. And then so George tells his story, which Damien has nothing to do with. He's like, I didn't shut your business down. It's like, that's not me. That's my dad. And that also just goes to show you how like kids associate certain things with certain stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, and then my man George, this is also the funny moment when he proceeds to re-dirty the park, and he's like, why am I cleaning this up? I'm not gonna be here anyway. And he starts throwing dirt down, and then he starts cleaning it up, and I'm like, why do this if I'm leaving? And then it turns into like a last day, see you later, hurrah. And Damien had said something like, oh, he's like, I never get to taste a good juice, and Damien's like, I'll get you a juice. And then he's like, I haven't tasted the most expensive caviar, and then they get him the caviar, and essentially he just does everything that he wanted to do. He wore a Stella someone gave him, and this, that, and the other, and I'm like, man, craziness. And then
The
so
the one thing that stood out to me was the singing. The singing and Damien's dance that didn't match the singing whatsoever.
yeah,
I was like, Damien, what the fuck are you doing? Everyone else is like choir moving side to side, if that. And this man's like, nah, but rocking out like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So everyone was all nice to him, and this is when George started crying, and then the musical came up, and he's like, I want to connect with everyone with songs, and everyone's all getting sad and sappy. And so, end of that, Damien offers to give him his expensive school supplies, and everyone gives him something. And Anya, she's like, Anya will give you this leaf she found on the side of the road.
Anya gave no fucks.
She did.
I love,
And
I love that before they started singing, he was like talking about becoming a slave in the West Ellis, and Anna's like, "You'll be safe there," because she's like, "Papa's nice and that spy lady's nice,"
yeah, they're
and
like,
it
they're
just
from there.
yeah,
And I also think Anya was just fed up with George. She was like, kind of like, really? We're going to do this? And like, she was,
she did as soon as Becky started singing, she was like, "Really?"
yeah, she patted, what's his name on George on the shoulder and was like, really? We're going to do this? And then yeah. So then it happens. He leaves the school, and he had the whole story wrong. And he's like, they actually bought the company out and like saved him. So now his dad has a job, and they welcome him in with open arms. He's like, "Oh, you're still going to be going to school tomorrow?" And George is like, "Huh, gone." So I was like, "Yeah." And so,
Becky's like, he's super embarrassed to even be at school. Everyone's staring at him. And like
yeah,
Becky's like, you better return all that stuff. And Damon's like, you better pay for that juice. I'm like, the juice? Motherfucker, I had a big ass bowl of caviar.
yeah,
Fuck the juice.
yeah. So, um, yeah, that happens, and then we get the next little story, and you're they're having a little family time, and you're they're getting Yonder ready for school, and yours she sees something that she thinks Anya's left, and she gets this vision of Anya turning bad because she gets a spell because the headmaster's like, "Oh, you forgot this. You're getting expelled because you forgot." And Anya was on her little motorcycle running, driving away. I was like, oh, "That's funny." And so then Yor turns into Spider Woman. She goes running and flipping around the city to the campus to get the stuff to Anya. And it turns out Anya doesn't have gym today. And that's the stuff she was trying to bring to her. And I'm like, huh,
I love that Anya
interesting.
patted her on the back.
Yeah, that was funny. And then yeah, so it was all for naught what she did, but then she got a meal out with Lord out of it, so that's good.
Yeah, he just
Lord
offered
brought
her
her
lunch to
some.
cheer her up. I'm like, she can't be depressed. It might
Yeah,
be a risk to the mission.
yeah. So, but yeah, he was also there looking at stuff. So yeah, it was a good one.
It was a good episode.
I enjoyed it.
I did as well.
Did you though?
I did.
How did you enjoy it?
Yes, I did.
Mm. Scale of 1 to 1. How did you enjoy it?
Scale to 1 to 1, 1.
Dang. Low one or high one?
Uh, Mid high 1.
Mid tier. That's good.
You got
Yeah.
anything you want to talk about, Irby?
Oh, I did have this one moment.
Well, I'm
I,
sorry, we're
I
out of time here. No, I'm gonna go ahead.
yeah, it was pretty weird. I started watching this new anime called Radiant.
Oh, Radiant. I started that. Never. The one with the gloves, right? He can't do magic without the gloves.
Well, the thing is, he could do magic. No, I'm like 10 episodes in. I don't want to tell you this stuff.
Okay, yeah, I think I was like 4 episodes in when I stopped. I'll pick it up again.
Yeah, well, the part I'm going to mention is past that.
Go
But
ahead, you
what
can mention
happens
it.
is this woman, she's like, "Oh, I made special tea," and guess what her secret ingredient in the tea was?
Stop. It's not piss, is it?
No, roast beef. I was like, "What the hell? Roast beef and tea?"
Hey,
And she's
man.
like, most flavorful things have roast beef. I'm like, "Oh God, yeah." And
Hey,
they got this little Mr. Hanky type deal going on. I'm like, "Oh man."
if there's an Arby's in Japan, I think they have it.
No.
Roast beef
This,
tea. Oh man,
yeah, it was disgusting. Everyone was like, "Bleh." So
I
yeah,
gotta get back into it. Are you enjoying it?
yeah, I do enjoy it. It kind of reminds me of a bootleg Dragon Ball Z a little bit.
I'll get back into it.
Yeah, it's like instead of searching for Dragon Ball, he's searching for Radiant.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's only one season of it, I think. No, there's 2 seasons. Yeah, 2 seasons. It shouldn't take too long.
Yeah, I'll get back into it.
Yeah, interesting show. It's just I just be on there, just letting it watch me.
Sad to see Tokyo Revengers has ended.
I'm not.
It was I enjoyed the journey.
Did you now?
I did. But anything else you want to discuss, Herbe?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right then, guys. You know what to do. Like, comment, share us, and we'll catch you next week. Hopefully, continuing our journey as the anime trio. Peace!
Peace.